Okay, picture this. Sunday morning. You've maybe slept in a bit, you're still kind of cozy, half awake. And then this amazing smell starts wafting from the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, that definitely gets you moving.
Right, that promise of a home-cooked meal. Maybe something you've, been thinking about all week.
It's such a universal feeling, isn't it? That slow, warm start to a day off, often built around food and family.
Absolutely. And today, we're actually using that exact scenario, that relatable moment, as our way into exploring the Indonesian language.
But not just like vocabulary lists, right?
No, exactly. We're digging into a simple, everyday conversation to unpack not just words and grammar, but also those little family dynamics and some really cool cultural insights too.
And the source material for this is some beginner level lesson notes,
Right.
which are great because they give you a real peek into how Indonesian is actually used day to day, not just stiff textbook stuff.
So our mission here is basically to pull out the key bits of knowledge from these notes. We want to help you quickly grab the essentials, language-wise and culturally.
Get those aha moments.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe some surprising facts without it feeling like, you're drowning in information. The goal is understanding the language of daily life, family, and of course, delicious Indonesian food. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. So we start right there, Sunday morning. It's this casual chat between a guy named Andy and his mother. Feels very familiar right off the bat.
It really does. Andy kicks off with a cheerful, "Morning, Mom!"
Standard stuff.
But his mom comes back immediately with, "It is already noon, Andy. Why did you wake up this late?" You can almost hear that tone, right? That slightly teasing parent voice.
Totally. And Andy's reply is just classic teenager, kind of defensive. "Sorry, Mom, today is Sunday. Besides, I seldom wake up late."
Oh, sounds familiar.
It really nails that relaxed weekend feel. Then the mother, being practical, says, "We will have our lunch soon. Ask your father to join us."
Moving things along.
Exactly. And Andy, clearly hooked by the kitchen smells, asks, "Smells very nice. What will we have for lunch, Mom?"
Which leads to the big reveal.
"Oxtail soup. Last week you said you were craving oxtail soup." Such a simple exchange, but paints a real picture.
It really does. And then we find out Dad's out in the garden with his plants.
Right, and Andy offers to go call him. It's this charming little scene, but it's packed with useful language.
Okay, so let's start pulling some of that apart. There's so much packed in there, even in just a few lines. How about we start with Suda?
Good one. It pops up right away. Andy's mom. It is already noon.
So Suda means already. Seems simple enough. Or is there more to it?
Well, yes and no. Suda is definitely your go-to for already in, like, everyday chat. Super common.
Okay.
But there's another word, tella, which also means already or indicates completion. Tella is more formal, though. You'd use it more in writing or maybe a speech.
Ah, so using tella when you're just chatting might sound a bit stuffy.
Yeah, exactly. A bit like using thus or henceforth in everyday conversation. It sounds slightly out of place.
Gotcha.
Like the example sentence here. Dia telah menyelesaikan pekerjaan rumah sebelum pergi tidur. He had finished his homework before he went to bed. See, it sounds a bit more formal, emphasizes completion in the past.
That makes sense. Good distinction. Okay, next up, bangun. To wake up? That seems pretty versatile in the dialogue.
It is. It can be an adjective or an intransitive verb. And if you just want to tell someone, wake up, you just say,
Bangun?
yep, bangun. Simple as that. What's interesting is how Indonesian often focuses on the main action, Bangun is often linked with tidur, which means sleep.
Right, wake up from sleep.
But often you don't even need to say tidur. Just bangun implies waking up after sleep. It's understood from context.
Okay, so like the example, anak laki-laki bangun tidur dan meninggalkan tempat tidurnya. The boy wakes up from sleep and leaves his bed.
Exactly. Or even simpler, saya bangun jam 6 setiap pagi.
I wake up at 6 every morning. No tidur needed there.
Nope. Context takes care of it.
Cool. Then there was segera, meaning soon.
Right. And its synonym, sekatnya, both mean soon or as soon as possible.
So they used it pretty interchangeably.
Often, yeah. You might see them a lot in more formal contexts, like ending a letter or an email. Aku menunggu balasanmu segera or secepatnya.
I look forward to your reply soon. Adds that touch of promptness.
Precisely.
Okay, and before we move on from vocab, just quickly touching on those other building blocks. Gabung for to join, minggu, is Sunday.
Minggu lalu for last week.
Gabung for garden, where Dad was, and panggil, to call.
Yeah, all key pieces for that scene. And you see them in other contexts too, like ayah bergabung menjadi tentara, father joined the army.
Or ibu sedang menyiram tanaman di kebun. Mom is watering plants in the garden. They really help paint the picture.
Definitely.
Now, going back to Andy's excuse, I seldom wake up late. That word, seldom. It takes us straight into adverbs of frequency. How often something happens.
Yes, this is super practical for everyday chat.
How do they work in Indonesian? Is it similar to English?
The key thing is placement. In Indonesian, these adverbs usually go before the verb they're modifying.
Before the verb, okay.
It kind of puts the emphasis on the frequency of the action right away. Makes the sentence flow nicely.
So let's run through them. What are the common ones for things that happen like a lot?
Right. So you've got selalu for always.
Yeah.
Biasanya is usually.
Okay.
Umnya for generally. Rutin for regularly. That one's pretty clear. And sering means often.
Selalu, biasanya, umnya, routine, sering.
Got it. Those cover the frequent stuff.
Yep, your daily or weekly habits.
And then for the less frequent things, like Andy seldom.
Okay, so dropping down the frequency scale. Kadang-kadang is sometimes.
Kadang-kadang.
Jarang means occasionally. And just jarang, like Andy used, is seldom.
Jarang occasionally, jarang seldom.
Okay, and then for the really rare stuff, hampir tidak pernah is hardly ever.
Almost never.
Right, and tidak pernah is just plain never. Tidak pernah. Never. Okay, that's a good range. Can we see them in action?
Sure. Think about Andy again, we could say. Andy selalu mencuci tangan sebelum makan. Andy always washes his hands before eating.
Always washes. Makes sense.
And Lisa Sena saying, pergi ke teater. Lisa often goes to the theater.
Often goes, so.
Yeah.
And for the other end?
How about orang itu jarang ke gereja? That man seldom goes to church.
Seldom goes.
Dan hampir tidak pernah merayakan Natal. And hardly ever celebrates Christmas.
Hardly ever celebrates. Okay, the pattern is clear adverb right before the verb.
Exactly. It makes descriptions much more specific.
But that's not the only way to talk about frequency, right? What about saying things like every day or every week?
Yes. For definite frequency, you use the word setiap. It literally means every.
Setiap. I remember learning setiap hari, every day. Felt like a key phrase.
It really is. You just combine setiap with the time period. Setiap hari, every day or daily.
Setiap minggu.
Every week. Setiap bulan, every month. Setiap tahun, every year or annually. Super useful structure.
So if Andy reads the news every morning, Andi membaca koran setiap pagi.
Perfect. Dan Hana melakukan meditasi setiap sore. And Hana does meditation every afternoon.
Very direct. And a broader example.
Umat Muslim merayakan Hari Raya Lebaran setiap tahun. Muslims celebrate Eid feast every year. Shows how it applies to big cultural events too.
Okay, one more frequency thing that seems really handy. Saying something happens a specific number of times within a period. Like twice a week or 3 times a month.
Right, for that you use a structure with Kali.
Dalam,
Kali.
meaning time.
Exactly. Kali means time or times. And dalam means in, but it's often optional, especially when speaking casually.
Optional dalam. Good tip.
So dua kali seminggu is literally 2 times a week.
2 kali seminggu.
3 kali dalam sebulan is 3 times in a month.
Okay, makes sense. So let's try the example. Father goes to Medan 3 times a year.
That would be ayah pergi ke Medan 3 kali dalam setahun.
And mother visits grandma twice a month.
Dan ibu mengunjungi nenek 2 kali sebulan.
Got it. And the other one, grandma takes a dance class 3 times a week.
Nenek ikut kelas menari 3 kali seminggu.
And grandpa goes fishing several times a month.
Dan kakek memancing beberapa kali sebulan.
Beberapa kali means several times or a few times.
Beberapa kali. Good one too. This structure feels incredibly useful for just, normal conversations about what people do.
Absolutely. It makes your Indonesian sound much more natural when you're talking about routines and habits.
Okay, all this talk about routines and family meals and smells from the kitchen. It brings me right back to Andy craving that oxtail soup.
Sup buntut.
Yes. Sup buntut. Perfect time to dive into that a bit. A real taste of Indonesian culture, right?
Oh, definitely. Sup buntut is hugely popular. It's one of those iconic Indonesian dishes, and yeah, it fits perfectly with Andy's craving. It's real comfort food.
It sounds like it, especially for a Sunday. Can you describe it for us? What goes into it?
Okay, so you've got these tender slices of oxtail, obviously.
The star of the show. Right. And then usually boiled potatoes, carrots, tomatoes, leek, celery, all floating in this really delicious, rich, clear, hearty beef broth.
Sounds warming.
It is, and often garnished with crispy fried shallots on top. Adds a great texture and aroma.
And the oxtail itself, is it just boiled in the soup or prepared separately? That seems important for the flavor.
Good question. It can actually be done a few ways before it joins the soup. Sometimes it's fried first, get a little crispy.
Oh, nice.
Or it might be barbecued, get that smoky taste.
Okay.
Or just simply boiled, maybe with some ginger to infuse flavor. Depends on the recipe or the cook's preference.
Lots of possibilities.
Cool.
And spices. Indonesia is famous for spices.
Absolutely. The broth is usually really well seasoned. Think garlic, cinnamon, pepper, nutmeg, cloves, that kind of warm, aromatic profile.
Wow. Okay. That sounds incredibly flavorful. And how is it typically served? Just the soup in a bowl?
Usually it comes with a side of white rice, steaming white rice.
Of course.
And then you get this little tray of accompaniments, which is half the fun. You'll typically get chili sauce, sambal.
Gotta have sambal.
Always. And sweet soy sauce, kikap mamanis, some lime wedges, jeruk nipis to squeeze over for brightness.
Nice touch.
And often these crunchy little chips called emping, they're made from melinjo nuts, kind of slightly bitter. Adds another texture.
Sambal, kikap manis, lime, emping. The whole setup sounds amazing. Definitely worth trying.
Oh, absolutely. All food's worth trying.
What a fantastic journey today, seriously. We started with just a simple family chat about waking up late on a Sunday. And from there, we unpacked really useful vocabulary like suda and bangun, got a solid handle on those adverbs of frequency.
Which are so key for daily use.
Totally. And then we ended up with this delicious deep dive into Seldom, a classic Indonesian dish.
It really shows how you can get this rich, layered understanding of both the language and the culture, even from a short text.
Yeah.
You've got some practical tools now for clear communication, sure, but also hopefully a deeper feel for the rhythms, the flavors of Indonesian daily life.
It's definitely more than just translating words, isn't it?
Way more. It's about the context, the connection, understanding what's often left unsaid.
It really is. And that kind of leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How does really getting the nuances of a language, going beyond just the dictionary meaning, actually unlock a richer, more authentic experience of a culture? Whether that's through a simple Sunday morning chat or dreaming about your next bowl of Seldom.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.